Sawmill's not running today, so there's not going to be any sawing videos, but I do have one here that you might be interested in, so let's watch it together. Welcome back, everybody. Nobody's really asked in a very, very long time, but I thought maybe now would be a good time to answer a question somebody asked months ago. Basically about the dust collection system, but I guess instead of doing just one item, I'm going to try to get everything all taken care of all in one go, so to speak. Which would include how the mill is connected to the dust collection system itself, and the exhaust system, along with this area of the shop that I'm using. So I guess the best thing to do is probably to go mobile, Of course, I'll be right behind you, and go over all of these items one at a time, and hopefully that'll answer questions that some people might have, and most other people probably don't give an answer around about. So here we go. I guess one of the first things I should probably show you is a real quick layout of this section of the shop. Which is approximately 15 by 30 feet. As you probably can see, and if you've watched any of the other videos, you can tell this is way, way too small for what I'm trying to do. It's way too cluttered, not only for what I'm trying to do, but just in general. I mean, I've got these snow tires, which by the way are for sale if anybody wants to buy them. They will fit a Lincoln for snow tires. Only 1 or 2 seasons on them. And in the background is another set of snow tires with rims, mounted balance, that will fit a 2000 something Honda Accord. Anyway, for sale. Make an offer. No offer refused. No reasonable offer refused. But that's not why we're doing this. Anyway, as I've mentioned, the shop is just way, way undersized for what I'm trying to do, but it's all I have in this area. Everything else is just as cluttered and even worse than here. The original setup I had here, if you look at my earliest, most videos, is with the old Timber King 1220 that I had, which this was set up in here, and it worked out quite well. There was a few things that weren't so good about the layout, but again, I was hamstrung by the physical limitations of the size of the room. But the Timber King did work out well for the few years that it was here. And now I've got the LT40 here. Generally, I just park it here during the active months because I don't like to leave any pieces of equipment outside. Unfortunately, I've got a lot of stuff outside right now that I want to get undercover, but regardless. This has been parked here since I got the mill, except when I'm taking it out to use it. But I just got so, I guess, what's the term I'm looking for? Cabin fever. And I had to get my sawmill fix. So I decided to reset up the shop in this area for running the LT40. And what I had to do, first of all, was get the dust collection system connected to it. And I also had to find a way to get rid of all the exhaust from the engine. So I guess to start, let's get over to the other side where the dust collection port is on the mill and see what we got there. Now this piece of fire hose, I guess that's what it is fire hose or just high pressure hose, is what comes on the mill for the normal dust chute, if you want to call it, or dust deflector. And that gets connected right over here on this piece of metal, right there, as we bend down. And the good news is the diameter of this is exactly the same dimension that you need for your 4-inch hose connection for your dust collection system. Now what this is here, this is just a quick connect to connect the port here into my hose system, collection system. And let's go on over and look at that part. Okay, the heart of the dust collection system, of course, is the blower. This is a Rockler brand blower. I believe it's what they call their Dust Right unit. It's rated at 650 CFM, and there's the nameplate right there. And I guess just to make sure that you understand this is not a sponsored video or whatever, although if anybody at Rockler is listening to this and you want to sponsor me, I'm more than willing to take your money. Anyway, it's mounted on the wall. The discharge is a standard 5-inch diameter, which I've connected to a very simple standard heating duct here with regular heating duct fittings, etc., and that just blows outside. My really cool flexible coupling here is nothing more than a piece of rubber sheeting that I've wrapped around and secured with a couple of pipe clamps or hose clamps, whatever. So let's move on over, since I'm on this ladder now, to the exhaust system blower and take a look at that. This is the blower that I use for the exhaust system. It's a high temperature blower made by Fasco. You've got the number there in front of you that if you want to buy one. This is rated at somewhere between, I believe, 200 and 300 CFM. And I'd like it to be a little bit of a higher rating, but it isn't. And this is the largest CFM I could find, so I'm kind of stuck with using this. And like I did with the blower for the dust collection, I've got this thing mounted so that the inlet port, which in this case is 3-inch OD, is hanging down so that I can easily get the hose over to where I want it to go. So that's it for that. So let's continue on with the exhaust system. Okay, the engine exhaust system consists of a 3-inch ID high temperature rubber hose. That's a garage exhaust hose that you'll buy at a company like AutoZone, Advanced Auto, Napa, NAPA. Again, 3-inch ID, and it's rated, says 600 degrees as far as the temperature rating, although I've heard rumors that sometimes it may only be rated at around 400 degrees. But the point is, that gets connected over here. I've got a couple of pieces and a fitting here of 3-inch OD automotive exhaust pipe. And I use the 90-degree connector here again so that my hose will hang down, a lot easier to handle, less chance of it kinking, and less stress. This thing is held on loosely, and I'm going to try to get it taken off one-handed. I'll be editing that out. There. So anyway, that's just so I can easily connect. And I use that to make it easier for me to connect and disconnect the hose from the rest of the mill. Now up on top here, I've got the muffler with the exhaust pipe coming out. Now the exhaust pipe is roughly 1 inch or so in diameter. And if you're wondering why a 1-inch exhaust pipe goes into a 3-inch exhaust pipe, there's a very good reason for that. And it's also the reason why you see I've got this cap put on the end. What I want to do, because I'm afraid of high temperatures from the exhaust gases, the idea is the small diameter exhaust directly from the engine goes into this large 3-inch pipe, and cool air is drawn in right through the outside here, and there's a 1-inch gap between the inside of the cap and the end of the pipe to allow the air to go in. And you're wondering why there's a cap there, and that's because coming right in this area here, there's a lot of hot air coming out of the engine itself for cooling the engine. And I wanted to try to bring as much cool air, or the coolest I can, in there to, I guess, dilute, mitigate, whatever you'd like to call it, the temperature. So I've got a video. I'm going to show you some clips of the temperatures and everything else. But taking the temperature of the muffler when we're running normally being milling and resting and so on and so forth, that's running at right around 450 degrees temperature right in this area right here. But when I start to measure the pipe here, the temperature varies, but the highest temperature I've recorded any place along the system, including the rubber, has been somewhere between 150 and 175 degrees. And again, that's because all of the cold ambient air that's being drawn in along with the exhaust air. Exhaust gases, not exhaust air, but you understand what I'm getting at. And the really nice thing about this whole thing is because the engine, the entire engine mechanism pivots to engage and disengage the drive belt, the pivot point seems to be pretty darn close to where this exhaust pipe is, so that doesn't change much in height. It just changes a little bit like this, and I've got a little tiny bit of a larger hole there. This is 1 inch, the hole is about 1.5 inches, and it works out fine. So that's how the exhaust system works. More on that in a moment. Now, some of my more safety conscious subscribers and watchers are going to say, well, what about the chances of carbon monoxide? Well, I got one of these handy dandy things, and this is a carbon monoxide sensor. Oh, geez, that's annoying. But as you can see right now, we have 0 parts per million. Now, the other day when I was running the mill rather heavily, I checked it out, and I would like to tell you that it was at 0, but it wasn't. It was at about, I believe the number was 24 parts per million, which is still well within a safety range. But I am monitoring CO levels here in the shop, so please don't worry about that. Since I take great pride in trying to plan ahead on everything, I planned ahead with the exhaust pipe, and as you can see, it extends out beyond the saw head so that I don't have any interference. So if we turn on our key right here as I'm discussing this, and as I say, I'm very, very proud of planning in advance. Except in this case, and right now, you can see the blade support is going to hit right in the middle of the hose, and it's what we call, oops, I screwed up. But I won't tell anybody if you don't. Both of the blowers that we have here are mounted quite high on the wall here to get them out of the way, and also allow the hoses that are connected to move freely. But one of the difficulties with having something that high is turning them on and off. Fortunately, they have a remote control, so I can start and stop them remotely. For example, the exhaust blower, what we do is we go over here and remotely start it up. Very, very simple. But wait, there's more. Of course, now it's not working. And with the other blower up here, our remote control for that. But is that easy or what? Yeah, you turn it off. Now, tell me the truth. Is that amazing or what? Don't you wish you had the same thing in your shop?